Hi, it's Dwayne Huff, founder and creator of Band Leadership Seminars, and it's that time again. It's spring, it's warm outside, and it reminds me that marching band season is coming around the corner very soon. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to create some free video training that I've never released before for you, the band director. I know I've seen stuff in the past that is for your students and training and developing your students, but this one is simply and strictly for you, the band director, to help you prepare, train, and develop not only your student leaders, not just the drum majors, but all student leaders, and build strong team amongst your entire band. Because let's face it, you've got some seniors that are graduating and moving on. You've got some incoming freshmen who are going to show up not knowing if they're going to stay or not. And then you've got returning leaders, returning and new upperclassmen, and it's a whole different team. It's a whole different dynamic. So how do you get in there and develop those leaders and build team in a way that really sets you guys up for success and prepare you for the marching band season coming? You know, I talk to band directors all the time. I've been blessed and fortunate to do this for the last 5 years, and some of the things I hear time and time again from band directors is, Dwayne, as I train and develop my leaders, where do I even begin? There's so many things to do. There's so many things to know. There's so many things that I want to teach them, you know. And first of all, I'm about to start interviewing and making sure I have the right section leaders, right band council, the right drum majors in place, you know. And once I do, you know, how do I start to teach them what leadership is all about? How do I help them to understand a servant's heart, a servant's mindset? How do I set them up for success? And how do I get them to understand and know what I want? And then, how do we get the whole band to come together as a tight, strong, cohesive team? So at the start of band camp, we can hit the ground running, put the show together, put the drill on the field, and do it in record time so that we can really crush it this year, you know? And I can remember whenever I was coming through marching band, even though I had gone and spent 2 summers with Dr. Tim, 2 summers with George Parks, I had all of this information, all this insight, and I would go into my band camp and into my season fired up, enthusiastic, excited, even prepared to some certain extent. But then when I'd get in there with my peers, pretty soon before I knew it, they were licking the stripe off of my candy cane. They were taking the enthusiasm away. They were undermining everything that I was trying to accomplish, and I just didn't have the skill set and the tools to be able to take it all year long. Because as you know, even after marching band season is over, these lessons that you teach your student leaders and the rest of your band can help create the entire culture of your band program. So how do you do that effectively? You know, and whenever I spent that time with Dr. Tim, if you've heard my story, it was a defining moment in my life. You know, I said right then and there, if I could go on and make a difference in this space, come back and teach these student leaders what I learned and the feelings that I had and the impact I was able to make, even though, you know, only 10% of the things that I think I did as a student leader throughout those 6 years was really effective and really worked, and 90% I fell flat on my face. It set me on a journey to go figure out, how do I come back and give this legs and teach this in a way that will last all year long? So I started to research, I started to dig in, I started to read personal development, leadership, understanding how people work and connected. And one day I ran across a statistic by the Carnegie Institute of Technology. It said, most of your financial success, 85% of it comes down how do you communicate, negotiate, and lead, and only 15% comes down to your technical knowledge. Well, Dwayne, what does that have to do with band leadership? Well, you know, throughout my journey and looking back over the experiences and the lessons that I learned, the same thing applies. 85% of a student's effectiveness and success as a student leader comes down to how they do 3 things: communicate, negotiate, and lead. Negotiate, Dwayne? Yeah, negotiate. Over the last 5 years, I've been able to come in and work with students in the ebb and flow that they have, not only with each other, but with the band director, so they can be more effective. And through that trial and error, and applying this to bands over the last 5 years, I've come up with a way to really have this stick, not just during marching band season, but throughout the entire year. And I'm constantly getting feedback from my band directors that I've worked with, either through our online course or through live seminars or the live virtual events, that this is taking and sticking year round. And it's something that they've wanted to give to their students that would last them a lifetime. And that's what we've been able to do. So in this video, what I want to do is share some of the best practices that I've come across. In fact, I'm going to send you 3 videos. This is the first one in it, where we're going to deep dive into the very first step. But here's the overview. You know, as I've gone through this, and I kind of gave a hint to it earlier, what do I teach whenever I come out to work with students, or what do I teach in my online program? That's what I want to show you and empower you to be able to do with your students starting right now. And the first thing is communication. When we can give them a foundation and an understanding of what makes communication effective and how they can be effective at communicating, there's a lot of things that are able to happen then, because they get you, they understand themselves, and they understand each other. And one of the best ways to do that is take some of the videos that you requested earlier and play those for your students, but don't just play them. Engage in dialogue and conversation with your student leaders and with your entire band program, band membership. Because whenever you, for example, will play the video on the behavioral styles, the conversations that can come out of that, the self-awareness, the collective awareness that can come out of that is just tremendous, and it really does open up dialogue about what makes effective communication with different types of people. The second thing is being able to negotiate and being able to throw them into situations where they feel like they're competing, but then realize that they're going to win a whole lot better if they collaborate rather than compete. And then finally, leadership. What's the servant's leadership, the servant's mindset, the servant's heart? What predetermines your attitude and how people perceive that attitude? And what is it that you need to be able to take initiative on? Without somebody being able to tell you, without the band director having to be able to tell the students what to take initiative on. How do we create that in the students? And that's really what this mini course that I've created for you is all about. So let's jump into step number 1. How do we teach them to be more effective at communicating? And you know, I believe that if you'll take the videos on the 4 behavioral styles and play again for them, but not only play the characters that I use, the Donald Trumps, the Alvin and the Chipmunks, the Big Bang Theory, but think about maybe in your school, some of the teachers that are your colleagues, and be able to say, this person's a dominant personality, this person's a thinker personality, this person's a talker personality, this person's a guardian type personality based on those videos. Because it's fun and it's interesting to be able to see, how Donald Trump behaves. I say it's fun, but if you've played those for your students, I can only imagine. I haven't gotten any feedback yet, but I can only imagine. But if you can find a school principal or somebody who's one of the teachers that they see every day, and you can say, you see when Dwayne talks about this behavioral style, that's really just like this person over here. That's a quintessential person. Now I know this works because this past year I was at Warren Central, or Warren County High School. I can't remember, but I remember we were going through the whole behavioral style dynamic, and in the back of the room were the band directors that were representing those schools. And as I went through it, I heard giggling and chuckling and then pointing, and soon I realized that they were able to quickly identify the behavioral styles of their band directors. So if you have field staff, if you have booster parents, if you have, again, teachers, or if you have people in the community that you can point to and label doer, talker, thinker, and guardian, it will really help them to resonate with that behavioral style. And then you can open up dialogue. Okay, guys, here's what we've learned about these people. So whenever we're communicating with these individuals, what should we do? What should we not do? And I'll tell you right now, if you get a piece of flip chart paper, or your whiteboard, or your smart board, and you'll take one behavioral style at a time. Or even better, here's what I do in my live events and on my online course. Here's what I'll do. I'll split them into groups based on their behavioral styles, doer, talker, thinker, or guardian. And I'll say, okay guys, draw a line down the center of the page. On one side put do, on the other side put don't. And I want you guys to collectively brainstorm and come up, what are 4 things that you should do when you communicate with your behavioral style? And what are 4 things you should not do when communicating with your behavioral style? So that can lay the foundation, and that can help you lay the foundation for what good communication is and why it's so important. And then the other thing I'll say about communication is go on Google and look up Johari window. Johari, Johari window. Do a little research. There might even be some videos on there. and then play that or teach that to your students, because it really is a visual representation of what makes communication effective and what can make it break down way too quickly. So that's step number one, laying that foundation for communication. Now, the other thing I'll say is if you're interviewing for your drum major, for your section leaders, for your band council, whatever the case might be, I also have 2 videos available. You may have gotten them whenever you requested the initial videos. You may not have. If you don't have access to them, reach out to me. I'll tell you how to get them. But it's what is leadership? Why is leadership important? And a free assessment. So if you're going through that interview process, that will serve you, because laying that foundation for expectation. In fact, I was telling a band director the other day, I wish before they sent me away to drum major camp to hang out with Dr. Tim and George Parks and all the other mentors that I had, I wish they would have told me or played those videos for me. What is leadership and why is it important? Because I guarantee you this is what I would have done. I would have said, no thank you, you can keep that. And if you were a student leader as you were growing up, you know exactly what I mean, because it's a huge responsibility. And if they're not ready for it, it can do more harm in some cases than it can good. So we have to make sure they're fully ready to step into that leadership role or position. But as far as communication goes, your entire band can benefit from that. So I hope this has served you, and in the next couple of days I will send you the second part of this mini series. Until then, you can see right here is a place below where you can leave a comment or a question. I'm going to respond to as many of them as I possibly can, but I want to hear your thoughts, I want to hear your ideas, I want to hear your questions, because as I move forward with this video training series, it helps me to understand what you need, what you want, and what you expect, so that I can help you make your band as effective as it can be, and make your leaders as effective as it can be. So until we talk next time, remember, you can inspire your students to inspire superior performance. You just got to lay the foundation and set the expectation for what it's going to take to make it the best marching band season ever. Talk to you soon.